My dear students, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to give you complete solution of the lesson The Bulls, which you have to study under compulsory English of grade 12 according to new course. Let's get started.
Learn English with Lakshman.
Understanding the text. Answer the following question. Why have Gore and Jitman come to see Lakshmi Narayan? Lakshmi Narayanलाई भेट्न गोरे र जितमान किन आए? They have come to see Lakshmi Narayan because they want to notify him of the death of King Ranbahadur Shah's bull named Male. What, according to the cowherds, is the reason behind the death of Male? माले किन मर्यो तिनीहरूको अनुसार? माले भनेको साँडे. According to the cowherds, the reason behind the death of Male was caused by his eating less grass and being unable to digest fine rice and split gram soup. Why does Ranbahadur want to see the bull himself? He wants to see the bull himself because he wants to examine its condition and does not want them to take the bull to the hill if it can be cured or treated at Thulo Gauchar. Why does Lakshmi Narayan run ahead of the convoy at Thulo Gauchar? Lakshmi Narayan runs to instruct the cowherds to pretend that they care about the bull very much to please the king. Otherwise, the king would become angry and punish them. Why do Gore and Jitman cry when the king declares that Male is dead? Gore and Jitman theatrically weep over Male's death to demonstrate their affection for the bull. They plead for the king's forgiveness, hoping to escape punishment and avoid being held responsible for the bull's demise and the king's wrath, that is great anger. How do we learn that the bull is dead? We learn that the bull is dead from the conversation of cowherds, Lakshmi Narayan and the king. The word of cowherds and the king are indicating that the bull is dead. The bull's tail has loosened and his eyes are motionless according to both cowherds and the king adds, the bull does not breathe. His tail has loosened, his ears have drooped down and he doesn't eat anything either. How does the play make a satire on the feudal system? The feudal system and its horrific acts toward ordinary people have been shown in this play. The feudal system's oppression, dominance, and dehumanization of people can be seen here. The cowherds who survive on the mercy and grace of their Lord have been presented in such a panic. These people live in terror because the Lord's animal receives more comfort, respect and care than they do. Both of them hide the reality of the dead bull in order to save their lives in front of the king. The play is a satire on the feudal system, depicting the feudal lord's dehumanization and oppression of his workers. Write down the plot of the play in a paragraph. Bhimnidhi Tiwari, a well-known Nepali poet and dramatist, wrote the one-act play The Bull. King Ranbahadur Shah was fond of bulls. He had reared many bulls. Once the bull named Male died. Then the cowherds and the bull doctor panicked because of the possible punishment from the king. They pretended to be sad and mourning at the death of the bull. In fact, They weren't sad at the death of the bull, rather, they were afraid of the possible punishment from the king. In order to save their life, they wept and pretended to be heartbroken in front of the king. The king then gave them tips, seeing them crying. Finally, the cowherds were happy to be alive. The play makes a satire on the feudal society of that time, that is, the 18th century. Reference to the context. Discuss the late 18th century Nepali society is portrayed in terms of the relation between the king and his subject as portrayed in the play. The monarchy system was prevalent in Nepal during the late 18th century. Nepal was controlled by the Shah dynasty at the time. Society at the time was rather strict. People lacked freedom in their daily lives. People had to live under the king's and his people's dominance. The play The Bull depicted a terrible story in which people were forced to live in terror of the king and the lords. Ordinary people's lifestyles were not ideal. Their masters treated them horribly. If they rebelled against their lords, they were severely punished. In this play, we may see a great example of people's miserable condition. The people were not given any fundamental rights. The general public has a poor level of political knowledge. In most societies, patriarchal rules and ideals existed. Women had to live under male dominance for their entire lives. Males were permitted to marry a large number of women. Lakshminarayan is shown in the play with 7 wives. He even appears to have taken on another wife. The kings or the lords had complete control over the lives of common people. What does the relation between Lakshminarayan and his wives tell us about the society of that time? To what extent has the Nepali society changed since then? Lakshminarayan, a 40-year-old legal officer and bull doctor for King Ranbahadur Shah, has married 7 women but remains dissatisfied and plans to marry again. He refers to his wives with derogatory nicknames reflecting the patriarchal dominance prevalent in his culture, where men were seen as superior and women as subservient. This societal norm, characterized by illiteracy, child marriage, and poverty, confined women to homes and under their husbands' control. However, Nepali society has undergone significant changes. Women now enjoy improved rights and opportunities as outlined in the Constitution, which promotes gender equality and punishes mistreatment of women. There is a notable rise in women's consciousness and literacy, leading to greater independence and participation in various sectors. Many organizations work toward the empowerment of women, ensuring both men and women have equal opportunities in contemporary Nepal. The status of women has transformed dramatically, moving away from historical oppression. Shed light on the practice of chakari as portrayed in the play. Have you noticed this practice in your society? The concept of chakari was widely practiced in Nepal during the monarchy, where individuals sought wealth and advancement by serving their kings and lords. This constant display of loyalty was cruel for survival, as failing to perform proper chakari would lead to severe consequences. In the one act play, The Bull, this theme is vividly portrayed through the characters Lakshmi Narayan Dahal and cowherds Gore and Jitman, who frequently engage in chakari for King Ranbahadur Shah. Lakshmi Narayan faces punishment for speaking loudly in the king's presence, illustrating the oppressive atmosphere surrounding the monarch. The cowherds, anxious about the king's displeasure, go to great length to appease him, treating the bull seen as an extension of royal authority with exaggerated deference. They rub its feet and refer to it as the bull sir. The emotional climax occurs when the king announces the bull's death, prompting the cowherds to cry uncontrollably, underscoring the pervasive anxiety and the socio-political dynamics of servitude in that era. How does Lakshmi Narayan outsmart रणबहादुर? रणबहादुर शाहलाई लक्ष्मी नारायणले कसरी छक्क्याए? With his trickery, Lakshmi Narayan outsmarts Ranbahadur. He is a doctor of the king's bull and a 40-year-old legal officer. He rushes to the king's palace as soon as Gore and Jitman inform him of death of the king's bull. He has a talent for flattering the king. He does not immediately inform the king of the bull's death, since the king may become enraged by the news. Rather than telling the king the truth, he informs him of the bull's sickness. He even tells the cowherds to massage and wave a fan at the bull as they approach the cowshed in order to please the monarch and protect their lives. The king believes the bull died despite receiving excellent care and treatment right in front of his eyes. The king does not disbelieve them as a result of Lakshmi Narayan's technique, and they survive the king's severe punishment. Sketch the character of Lakshmi Narayan. One of the main characters in this one-act play is Lakshmi Narayan Dahal. He is a 40-year-old legal officer as well as King Ranbahadur Shah's bull doctor. He is married to 7 different women. He has 7 women at home, but he appears to be unsatisfied with all of them. He plans on marrying the 8th woman. When he learns of the king's bull's death, he makes good use of his intellect and moves quickly to spare himself and the cowherds from the king's punishment. He goes to the king's palace, but he does not immediately inform the monarch about the bull's death. He is well aware of the king's flattery, that is chakari. When the king arrives at Thula Gauchar's cowshed to see the bull, he tells the cowherds Gore and Jitman to massage and wave fans at the dead bull in order to please the king. Lakshmi Narayan's witty act have contributed to the play's humor. They were saved from the king's heavy punishment due to his trickery. As a result, we may claim that Lakshmi Narayan is the one who has outsmarted the king with his cunningness and chakari.